Hello you lovely lot, my name is Max, welcome back to my YouTube channel and another Nottingham Forest match preview where today we are discussing our upcoming away trip down to the south coast to take on Bournemouth, a team who we know very well, unfortunately losing 3-2 to them in the reverse fixture following that second half collapse back in September. But we're in good form at the moment and we'll be looking to pick up 3 points on the road. If you're new around these parts of these videos, go as follow, and we start by providing some context to the season thus far for our opposition, with us talking about some of their stats and key players, followed by a bit of a tactical breakdown, talking about what we need to do on the day to pick up the 3 points, and eventually a scoreline prediction. So if you do enjoy this kind of stuff, don't forget to drop a like on this video, subscribe to the channel, and ring that notification bell so you don't miss a single video. With that being said, let's start talking about our reverse game against Bournemouth. So of course, as we usually do, we'll be starting by providing some context to our position at the beginning of this video, and today is no different, talking about Bournemouth. And we do know them quite well, of course, a 3-2 loss in the reverse fixture back in September. Again, we collapsed massively and we were actually 2-0 up at half time. I remember being very excited when I saw us go 2-0 up at Disneyland in Florida. Unfortunately though, we did have a pretty poor performance in the second half, losing 3-2, as I said, which was compounding a really poor run of form. We lost 6 of 8 games within a sort of 6-week period from the end of August to the middle of October, and this was probably the worst result of the lot. Definitely a kick in the teeth considering how well we had done to get ourselves in the position we were in at half time. I think what was more annoying for the fixture was the fact that we probably outplayed them on the day, considering we had 11 shots to 8. We had 1.3 expected goals to a pound, 0.8 from them. Generally, we were the better team, and unfortunately just a poor sort of half an hour in the second half led to us losing the game and coming away with nothing, where we probably did deserve something from that game. But for Bournemouth, things have gone probably much worse than for us since that result. So yeah, since that game, Bournemouth have played 13 Premier League fixtures. They've won just 2 of them and now just sit 1 point and 1 place above the relegation zone. And actually a win for us would potentially put a 5-point plus buffer between ourselves and the teams in the relegation zone. So it's really a huge fixture and a great opportunity to put some distance between ourselves and some of the worst teams in the Premier League at the moment, which include Bournemouth. So yeah, let's start moving into the stats section of this video, talking about what has made Bournemouth so poor this season, because believe you me, when we take a look at these numbers, they have been shocking thus far. Now, at the time of our previous meeting against Bournemouth, they had scored the second fewest goals in the Premier League, had generated the least chances on expected goals, and the least shots per 90 minutes over their opening 5 Premier League games. Now, things have actually improved slightly for them in the goal scoring department. They are around 15th or 16th for goals scored, but they are still by far the worst attacking team in the Premier League. When you look at the underlying numbers, they have generated the fewest expected goals and take around 8 shots per 90 minutes, which is by far and away the worst in the Premier League this season. And when we flip things around and take a look at Bournemouth's defensive stats, they don't get too much better. They've conceded 39 goals in the Premier League this season, over 2 per match, and this is from the 3rd most expected goals against per 90 minutes and from the 2nd most shots against them per 90 minutes as well. They are by far away a relegation team in terms of defensive record, and you can get away with that if you've got a decent attack and vice versa. We've seen teams like Leeds who've got pretty poor defences but good attacks stay up in the past, but Bournemouth are awful in front of goal and awful at defending their own goal, and in my opinion, I think they are dead set on going down this season. Now, I do actually have to find some positives to this video, so I do actually want to spend some time to talk about Mark Travers, the goalkeeper for Bournemouth, because at the time of our previous meeting, he was the worst goalkeeper in the league on his stats. He had a 40% save percentage from his opening 5 Premier League games, but this has actually improved a fair amount. He's around 65% save percentage in the Premier League at the moment, which puts him pretty comfortably a decent Premier League level goalkeeper. His form has drastically improved from the opening few games of the season, which, to be fair, considering they lost 4-0 to City, I think 3-0 to Arsenal and 9-0 to Liverpool, they're at least doing a little bit better defensively, you have to say. And alongside the likes of Tavernier, Solanke, I do think that they've got some pretty decent players in that squad, definitely Premier League quality players that if they were to get relegated, I'd certainly advocate us taking a look at. Tavernier was someone who I looked very heavily at. I'd put a link in the iCard above to the scout report I did on him back in the summer. I was very interested in looking at seeing if he would come into Forest and how he would do. He was quite heavily linked to us for a while, ended up going to Bournemouth. I still think he's a really talented player, and again, I think if they were to get relegated, he might be someone worth us taking a look at in the summer. Another really exciting thing for Bournemouth has been their recent takeover, a recent influx in cash in the squad, and they've spent the cash pretty wisely on Dango Ouattara from the French league. 5.5-year deal for the 20-year-old, and his stats do look pretty impressive. Ouattara has been really fantastic for Lorient at the beginning of the season. 6 goals and 5 assists for the 20-year-old. He's in the top 15% of wingers for shots and assists per 90 minutes, and is also putting up around 0.64 goals and assists per 90 minutes over the course of the campaign. He's been fantastic for them in the attacking third, and actually defensively his numbers look pretty good as well. Yeah, when you look at his defensive numbers, he is consistently in the top 5% of wingers in Europe this season for pretty much every defensive metric you want to look at: blocks, tackles, interceptions, all that kind of stuff. He's fantastically hardworking as a player, and I think for a team like Bournemouth, who don't see too much of the ball, are going to be camped in their own half quite a lot, I think having someone who's going to track back, do the defensive work, double up with his fullback when it's needed, I think that's really, really important. I think he's shown in the first half of the campaign he is a really talented prospect, just 20 years old and putting up really good attacking numbers and very solid defensive numbers for a player in his position. So overall, to the shock of absolutely nobody, Bournemouth are not very good at this season. The numbers suggest they are probably one of the 3 worst teams in the Premier League this season, alongside the likes of Southampton and Everton. And I don't think the signs point to them improving during the second half of the season. That being said, they have made some really interesting acquisitions over the last 18 months or so. They have got new owners, and I would imagine if they were to go down this season, they'll probably bounce back up in the next 2 or 3 seasons as they rebuild, hopefully a competent Premier League squad. I'm hoping they don't cause us too many problems, but as we go into the tactics section, we'll discuss that in a little bit more detail. So yeah, we're going to move into the tactics section of the video now, and I don't want to spend too much time talking about Bournemouth and their shape. I don't know enough about them. I haven't watched them enough times this season to really gauge what they are as a side, other than a complete mess. But I do want to spend some time talking about Forest. I want to spend some time talking about the shape that we could look at doing, how things can maybe change with a couple of the recent acquisitions that we've made, and especially just talk about what we need to do to get over the line and get the 3 points against Bournemouth, because it's a must-win game. It's an absolute must-win game, in fact, against a team much worse than us in the table, and we should really be picking up 3 points. So we'll talk about that now. Let's move into the tactics. So on the board, as you can see, we've got Bournemouth and Forest. Bournemouth are the team in that sort of cherry colour, we're the team in the red, and I've got them shaped up in a 4-4-2. I've got us shaped up in something similar to what we've been playing since the winter break, that kind of 4-3-3 false 9, 4-4-2 diamond, whatever you want to call it, with Gibbs White sort of sitting in the pocket behind split strikers. Now, I think it's quite important to stress that Bournemouth's shape isn't a particularly fixed one. They played 3 at the back against Chelsea a few weeks ago. They played 4-4-2 or 4-4-1-1 against the likes of Brentford and Man United in recent games. Their shape's pretty flexible. I think Gary O'Neill's definitely the kind of coach who just takes it on a game-by-game basis, looks at the personnel available and determines the shape from there, like most reasonable coaches, I would imagine. But 4-4-2, 4-4-1-1, certainly in recent games, seems to be a shape that they've settled on. Getting Philip Billing nice and high is a really good attacking sort of midfielder who can get forward and arrive late in the box, alongside someone like Kiefer Moore or Dominic Solanke leading the line, where they then can get some pace in the wide areas from the likes of Jadon Anthony and Zamora from left back. Now, one thing I've really noticed in Bournemouth when taking a look at like their heat maps and their stats in detail is they're really bad at getting the ball into the box. When you look at their heat map, there's like a big sort of like semicircle in and around the box where they really struggle to get touches in and around the 18-yard box. And I think that's going to be really important and really telling in this game. Our defensive shape has been much better in recent weeks. A flat back 4 with a 3 in the midfield, where there's not really, forget the squiggly lines here, there's not really a huge amount of space in this area for teams to play in and around us. There's not the space for players to find areas between the lines, which was something that was a big issue for us at the beginning of the season. Now we've moved to that 4 and 3 in the midfield. It looks so much more solid, and I do think Bournemouth are going to really struggle to get touches and opportunities in and around that area of the pitch. Now, I think the defence is pretty settled at the moment. Niakate seems to be coming back into training, same as Richards, in the next few weeks. I think McKenna will probably continue at centre-back alongside Worrell, with Lodi and Aurier at left-back and right-back respectively. Hennessy in goal, not ideal, but we have to deal with what we've been dealt. Hopefully a new goalkeeper can come in during the January window. And that 3 in midfield, I would imagine, is probably going to remain unchanged. Freuler, Yates and Mangala have really delivered when they've started to sort of get some relationships going in that midfield in recent weeks. There's maybe an opportunity for Danilo to come in. Lewis O'Brien can maybe feature, but I would not be surprised if we didn't deviate from the shape and the personnel in the 2 first stages of the team that have really delivered some really good results in recent weeks. Back-to-back clean sheets, and we're in pretty good form at the moment as well. And I would imagine these sort of positions are going to stay the same. The questions I have are in attack. Of course, the big miss is that Taiwo is going to be injured seemingly for longer than first anticipated. Looks like it could be 2 or 3 months. And we've gone out and signed Chris Wood on loan at the time of recording. It sounds like he's registered and will be available in time. Of course, if that changes, apologise if this becomes very quickly out of date. But it seems like he will be available for the game. So the question is, does he start in that number 9 position? Do we maybe change things up and go to a more conventional 4-3-3 with Chris Wood being the focal point, Brennan and Morgan Gibbs-White sort of operating in and around him? Or do we stick with a shape that's really given us a good platform to build on during the second half of the season? Do we keep Gibbs-White in this reserved in the pocket zone with Brennan as a split striker alongside someone like Sam Surridge, alongside maybe Scarpa, with Scarpa playing that position and Gibbs-White pressing further forward? There's a lot of questions in and around that position. Personally, for me, I'd quite like to maybe see Surridge get a start. I think he was really good when he came on against Leicester, and opportunities for him have been few and far between. I think he has earned a start at some stage of this season. I would like to see Scarpa and Gibbs-White on the team, on the pitch at the same sort of time. That's the word I was looking for. On the pitch at the same time. I'd really like to see them getting the opportunity to create first. They are by far our most creative players in terms of natural creativity. And obviously, I think Brennan has to start, doesn't he? He was the guy who got the 2 goals against Leicester. He's been in really sort of decent form since coming back from the World Cup. He got that assist against Southampton, the only goal of that game, 2 goals against Leicester, had a couple of decent chances against Chelsea. I think he's going to be very important with Taiwo out, and I think hopefully he can fill the void of goals missing in this team. But those are the sort of general thoughts that I've got on the team and what I would like to see at stages in the game. I think we've got the personnel to put together a pretty decent side despite what have been quite crippling injuries to the side. But of course, let me know your thoughts on those in the comments. So in terms of the scoreline for this game, I do think that Forest will come away with the 3 points. I'm pretty confident on that. Bournemouth are in very bad form at the moment. They have faced some pretty heavy defeats in recent weeks, and I think we're in really good form. Since coming back from the World Cup, we've only lost that game to Manchester United. We picked up a point against Chelsea, good away points against Southampton, that really great result against Leicester as well, and I'm hoping that we can continue this form into this sort of really important 6-week period of the season. I'm going to go for a 2-0 win for Forest. Clean sheet would be great. I think it'd be our 4th in the row in the league, and of course back-to-back away wins if we were to win it. I'm going to say Brennan and Gibbs-White are going to get on the score sheet. Would be nice to see Chris Wood start, but I'd also like to see Surridge get some minutes as well. And yeah, those are just sort of my general thoughts on the match preview and for this game against Bournemouth. Of course, though, let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. It'd be greatly appreciated. Whilst you're down there, don't forget to drop a like on this video, subscribe to the channel, and ring that notification bell so you don't miss a single video. With that being said, thanks for watching. If you are going down, it's a long trip. Stay safe. I know it's not going to be the easiest journey. Look after yourselves. Enjoy the game if you are going, and I will catch you later.